Kumoko was a sad, lonely gamer girl who was treated like an annoying NPC of a trash game. One day, an explosion occurred in her class, and the students got reincarnated in an RPG game-like world. Kumoko, however, continued her sad streak by reincarnating as a spider. On a sunny afternoon in a normal high school setting, a bright light appeared and destroyed the entire class. The screen went black, and Kumoko woke up to find she had been reincarnated as Spider-Man. Just kidding, she reincarnated as a spider, a giant freaking bug. To her shock, there were hundreds of other spiderlings hatching around her. With no food available, the spiderlings started eating each other. Kumoko quickly realized the danger she was in when she saw her mother eating the newborn spiders. Her mother saw her as just fine silk food, so Kumoko ran away, wishing for a powerful skill from an anime to help her. Suddenly, a voice in her head offered her an appraisal skill for 100 skill points. Realizing she was in another world, Kumoko learned the appraisal skill, hoping it would be very powerful. However, this world wasn't like the ones in typical isekai stories, and her skill turned out to be as useful as Sakura going solo against Madara. It could only tell her the names of objects. With all her skill points wasted, Kumoko looked for food, but the area was full of powerful Minecraft mobs hiding in the shadows. She decided to go the other way and saw human feet. She hoped a human would help her, but when she got closer, she realized it was the lifeless Spider-Man suit of one of her siblings. The sight scared her so much that she wet herself. But since she was a spider, a white thread came out instead. Using this thread, she built herself a home with lots of defenses. However, she soon collapsed from hunger, as she hadn't found any food. Her only option was to eat her own family, so before she starved to death, Kumoko indulged in the Alabama cannibalism. After devouring his body, the system unlocked the skill, Kin Eater at level 1, and Kumoko gained the secret taboo skill along with heretic magic. She wondered how to use this mysterious magic and thought she had a brilliant idea, which was brilliantly terrible. She tried summoning heretic magic with all her power. After a while, Kumoko noticed a frog stuck in her web. This wasn't the friendly Kermit. It launched a chemical at her eye, blinding half her vision. The monster kept attacking with its poison, but when Kumoko unlocked the level 1 acid resistance ability, she began dodging all its attacks. Eventually, she managed to get close enough to bite it. Despite the frog spitting poison all over her, Kumoko endured the damage and vowed to make it her meal. She jumped from side to side to dodge its attacks. Finding an opening, she flanked the frog from behind and leaped to devour its neck, ending its life. She celebrated her victory with a dance, but found the frog's flesh to be the worst thing she had ever tasted. However, she was grateful to still be alive. As a spider in this harsh world, she knew she would have to endure many more challenges to survive. Before their isekai that saw them leave with a blast, there were specific relationships among the students of classes 2, 3. Yamada Shunsuke and Ushima Kanata were friends, while Wakaba Hiro was bullied by Shinohara Mirai. In the present, Hugo, now the crown prince of the Reincarnates Empire, talked with Shun before class. It was revealed that Shun's older brother was Julius, known as the Hero, whom Shun admired as the chattest Chad in the world. However, Hugo asserted that he aimed to surpass Julius and become the strongest human himself. After their conversation, Mirai reflected on her own reincarnation, speculating it might have been punishment for her past misdeeds, particularly bullying Wakaba in her previous life. Faye then asked Oka about Wakaba's whereabouts, but Oka evaded the question, only stating that Wakaba was still missing. Days passed, and Kumoko managed to capture some more of Kermit's violent cousins, bringing them back to her home. As she reached her limit, her Poison Fang skill leveled up to level 2, and her body started transforming. The system announced that her body had also reached level 2, causing all her skills to improve while her body healed. Before she could celebrate, she noticed one of her threads had captured another creature. This time, it was a Homo sapiens homie. The man threw an incendiary device, burning her threads and escaping, but leaving an egg behind. Her fragile home had burnt down, but Kumoko began building a new one. She constructed an entire kitchen, a living room, and even a bedroom for her spider needs. Additionally, she set up an alarm system to alert her whenever she caught a monster. However, her belly reminded her she was starving again. What a tangled web she was in. To celebrate the grand opening of her new home, Kumoko decided it was the perfect time to finally eat the rare egg the human had left behind. When Kumoko tried to open the egg, she found it harder than steel. Using her best technique, she threw it down, but it didn't break. Curious, she used her appraisal skill, which had now leveled up to level 2, revealing it to be a Minecraft dragon spawn egg. She decided to keep it safe for now. While playing, all her alarms went off and her home started burning. Humans had returned with torches to attack her. Kumoko ran, but they chased her relentlessly. Exhausted, she hid and cried, feeling helpless just like in her past life where she was constantly attacked and had nowhere to belong because she was a sad and lonely, useless loser with no purpose. Determined not to run anymore, Kumoko vowed to become stronger, so nothing she cared about would be taken from her again. She trained for weeks battling frogs and lizards, realizing she was one of the weakest creatures, like Yamcha, facing literally any antagonist. Returning to the labyrinth, she adopted a new strategy, using her web from a distance to avoid physical harm, prioritizing survival over bravery. Exploring deeper, she heard an ominous sound and was chased by hundreds of monsters, draining her stamina. She escaped but needed a plan. Using her appraisal skill, she encountered a giant snake that nearly crushed her. Refusing to run, she used webs and traps to weaken it, but the snake nearly defeated her with a single strike. Kumoko fought back, biting its neck until she finally won, though the snake tried to crush her. Barely surviving, she leveled up to 10, molted her skin, and unlocked 12 new skills. Finally able to evolve from a small, lesser Taratect, Kumoko faced a choice: remain a larger, lesser Taratect, or evolve into a smaller, more advanced species. Opting for the latter, she began evolving into a small Taratect, losing consciousness in the process. After hours of sleep, Kumoko woke up feeling like her body hadn't really changed, and her level was back to 1, like when your annoying younger brother restarts your game. She was also low on stamina, so she started eating the giant serpent she had defeated. With her new evolution, she needed to eat much more, and it took longer to regain stamina. However, she gained many new abilities. Thread control allowed her to move like your friendly neighborhood spider knot man, while detection helped her find enemies before they found her. Basically, the Spidey sense. But in Kumoko's case, I guess it's just sense. When she used detection, she was overwhelmed by the number of monsters nearby. She relied on thread control to defeat her enemies. After defeating 10 monsters in her evolved form, she reached level 2, and her appraisal skill was now level 6. Realizing level 10 must be the maximum before further evolutions, she used her powerful appraisal ability to see all her stats. She discovered her speed was nearly 10 times faster than others. As soon as Kumoko finished eating, she sensed humans approaching and ran for her life. They pursued her relentlessly through a cave filled with traps set by monsters. She encountered 3 blue monsters blocking her path, narrowly evading them like a smooth criminal, and hoping they would delay the humans chasing her. But suddenly, she slipped and fell into the depths of the cave. Typical Minecraft noob lore. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Analete, Yuri announced to the class a practical magic exercise in the western woods of the academy. Yuri, now devoted to the Word of God religion, shared its teachings with Shun during their conversation. During the exercise, the class learned water magic. Hugo became competitive with Shun, attempting to prove his superiority in magic. Despite the focus on water magic, Hugo used fire magic, prompting Shun to use his water magic to counter it, feeling Hugo had gone too far. During a class exercise, the students were suddenly attacked by an earthworm. Orisa-sensei attempted to stop the worm but tragically lost her life in the process. Hugo tried to use his fire magic against the worm, but its powerful imperial scales rendered his attacks ineffective. and he was injured by the worm's tail. Shun, Yuri, and Sue combined their water magic to strike the worm. Shun then enhanced his abilities using mental warfare and magic warfare, managing to block the worm's deadly breath attack. However, Hugo, overcome by panic, started shooting fireballs randomly, endangering everyone. To stop him, Shun used water magic to incapacitate Hugo temporarily. Faye sensed the danger and bravely jumped onto the earthworm, biting its neck and tearing off some of its scales. This distraction allowed Shun to pop off its head like a bottle of champagne. In a surprising turn, Faye gained the title Kin Eater, suggesting that the earthworm was one of her parents. This revelation shocked Sue, Yuri, and Katya. Shun, deeply affected by this revelation, fell to his knees in disbelief. As Kumiko fell, she attempted to use her spider threads to soften the landing, but it didn't work as planned, and she hit the ground hard. She resigned herself to slowly descending into the depths. Suddenly, 3 giant bees began pursuing her, and Kumiko narrowly avoided a messy landing. She started hearing ominous music and spotted 3 snakes engaged in a battle with the bees. Seizing the opportunity, she tried to sneak away. However, Araba, a mighty earth dragon, appeared. None of the other monsters' attacks could harm him. With a single powerful strike, Araba obliterated all the creatures around him. Kumiko attempted to flee once more, but Araba locked eyes with her, freezing her in place. As Araba walked away, leaving behind a crater from his devastating power, and leaving Kumiko like Itachi left Sasuke because they were both weak, Kumiko feared their next encounter would be her end. She relied on her stealth ability to evade detection, running away to survive. Hours turned into days as she navigated through a dangerous path, avoiding powerful monsters that preyed on each other. Exhausted and starving, Kumiko stumbled upon a nest of lower-level snails. Surprised no one had eaten them, she decided to feast on one. With a single bite, her remaining points drained away, and Kumiko succumbed, passing away. And that's the end of this anime. But wait, there's more. After narrowly escaping death, Kumiko realized she had been traveling in the cave for weeks without seeing sunlight. Surprised the Minecraft phantoms hadn't come to hunt her yet. Eventually, she encountered frog-like beasts in the lower stratum, which she easily defeated, earning the title Poison Master. With this new skill, she could use poison magic, though she was initially disappointed by its high mana cost. Reflecting on her past life of idleness, Kumiko resolved to face the challenges head-on. Suddenly, a giant monkey approached, followed by a horde that stampeded through the area like they had just found a haven of bananas. She tried to evade these cousins of Rafiki but was nearly caught by a strange-looking monkey.
No. Wait.
Dodging their attacks, she managed to trap one and defeat it, leveling up to level 4, and basically showing a concept for Ben 10's spider monkey. Exhausted, Kumiko sought rest, but a skull's scream alerted more monkeys to her location like she was the banana plug. They began climbing towards her, forcing her into a fight. Using nets and poison spells, she fought back, but their numbers kept increasing. Determined to survive, she fought fiercely, even as they outclassed her. In a desperate struggle, she lost an arm but leveled up again in the midst of battle. Using her wits and webs, she managed to trap and defeat several monkeys. Eventually, she caused a cave wall to collapse, gaining another level but facing evolved monkeys. One of the evolved monkeys launched a boulder at her, leveling things up a notch. Despite their tactics, Kumiko managed to outsmart and eliminate 2 of them using her poison and webs. However, the last one severely injured her, bringing her close to defeat. With a final burst of effort, Kumiko turned the tables, leveling up to 9 and healing her wounds, showing these Mojo Jojos who actually the canon Minecraft mob was. After that, all that was left was to feast on the curious Georges. But she got too excited and jumped into the location Minecraft players find themselves when they dig straight down, a sea of lava. Kumiko's web was on fire, and she hurriedly cut it off to avoid making a flaming spider booty. Just when she thought she could rest, a massive magma beast attacked, threatening to roast her alive. She fled back into the lower stratum of the labyrinth, unsure of how to escape. If she climbed back up the hole she fell through, she'd encounter a rabbit, so she pondered other ways out while focusing on evolving first. After consuming numerous monkeys, she reached level 10 and evolved into a small poison pterodactyl. A few days later, her body transformed, and her stats soared by 3 digits, giving her confidence to face magma monsters. With her upgraded appraisal skill, she could now see her skill points and the list of skills available to her. Among them was the skill called Pride. No, not the rainbow one. It was described as containing a percentage of power needed to achieve godhood. It promised increased experience, proficiency gain, and the ability to exceed the W system and interfere in the MA field. I'm lying if I tell you I understood that. Kumiko wasn't sure how she could interfere in a world without radio signals. The statement about pride and its power percentage confused her, but she had a strong intuition that obtaining the pride skill was important. So she spent 100 skill points to unlock it. Her abilities improved, but her taboo level rose from 2 to 4. With the new skill came the title Ruler of Pride, Pause for the Homies, and level 10 in Abyss Magic. Curious about her upgraded stats, she noticed significant increases across all her skills. Abyss Magic seemed as formidable as something out of Hades, so she decided to test it out in the middle layers of the labyrinth instead of attempting to summon Hades, which seemed too difficult for now. While reviewing her skills, she came across the title Demon Lord and envisioned herself as the potential final boss of this world, she wished. Determined, she began intensive training to further develop her abilities. Meanwhile, Schlain and Faerun were chatting, with Faye talking about her recent evolution, while Schlain used appraisal to check her stats. On their way to class, they joked about how strangely boring their lives felt, attending school in a fantasy world. During class, Yuri spoke to Schlain about the taboo skill, insisting that he inform her if his appraisal ever revealed anyone with this skill, so she could alert the Word of God Church for execution. Schlain was shocked by her harsh words, and Faye stayed quiet because she had the taboo skill due to her Kin Eater title. A few days later, Kumoko's auto HP recovery and fire resistance both reached level 5. However, she still couldn't figure out how to defeat the fire monsters, so she decided to look for food. As she descended, she narrowly avoided being burned by a flare of energy and found herself face to face with the Earth Dragon again. The dragon prepared to attack, so Kumoko ran towards the middle stratum, having no other choice. Back in the middle stratum, a fireball shot towards her. The seahorse from before was ready to attack, but with her new speed, Kumoko managed to dodge all its strikes. Despite her inability to enter the magma or engage in ranged combat, Kumoko successfully depleted the seahorse's MP after dodging its attacks on land. Once the seahorse left the magma to confront her, Kumoko used her speed advantage to flank it and deliver a decisive bite to its neck, marking her first victory in the middle stratum. After finishing the seahorse, Kumoko's meal was once again unpleasant, when a giant catfish, much stronger than the seahorse, appeared. She considered fleeing to avoid becoming its meal, but another catfish blocked her escape route. Trapped between them, Kumoko deployed her poison web, which, despite burning away, managed to inflict some damage on her foes. The catfish lunged at Kumoko again, but this time she injected her evolved spider venom into its mouth, swiftly defeating it. Witnessing this, the remaining catfish fled, and Kumoko's appraisal skill leveled up. With her heightened skill, she could now see the details of the pride skill, though the description about ruling class privileges confused her since it stated the ruler of pride couldn't exercise authority currently. Deciding to eat the catfish, Kumoko was surprised to find it incredibly delicious, tasting exactly like fish. Overwhelmed with the taste, she quickly devoured it, finally having a good taste in this world where everything tasted like Sakura's food pills. Across the world, Shun was proud that his brother Julius was the hero and wondered where he was now. Deep in the labyrinth, Julius, the hero, fought dangerous monsters when a man informed him that a white spider was their real target. Kumoko's new foresight ability allowed her to see the eel's movements, making it easier to dodge. However, the eel used an area effect skill, draining only half its MP. Kumiko kept dodging until the eel's MP was depleted. She then bit the eel's neck, but it used life exchange to regain HP. Kumiko tied it with her web and poisoned it, collapsing with barely any HP left. The system leveled her up from 7 to 10, and she molted, increasing her stats and meeting the conditions to evolve. Kumiko considered evolving into a Zoolette, gaining the Harbinger of Misfortune title and significant combat potential. She used the eel's corpse as a shield, and began her evolution. After evolving, she emerged with a thorn-covered body and new scales, unlocking 30 new skills. She ate the eel, finding it the second best meal in her life. She decided to unlock the Perseverance skill, converting MP to HP, and gained the Heresy Nullification ability. With this, she could use her detection skill without headaches, revealing the threads of her world. A new personality, her parallel mind, introduced itself.
An imposter! That man is the imposter!
Offering to aid in battles by controlling movements and attacks while Kumiko strategized. They became a powerful team. Meanwhile, Julius's party encountered 3 giant spiders in a cave. A voice warned Julius about the real threat, the nightmare's vestige. It nearly killed him, but he dodged. The spiders dodged their projectiles, but Julius killed 2. The 3rd spider was struck down by Julius's magical sword. Julius used his ultimate ability, Light Field, against the spider, but it countered with poison. Julius survived with his healer's help, but struggled to match the spider's speed. Suddenly, the spider shook in fear, and a soldier pinned it down. Julius destroyed it with a holy light beam. They completed their mission, but Julius wondered what terrified the nightmare's vestige. Elsewhere, a man asked a mysterious woman about her concerns. She, the demon lord, dismissed his worries and told him to focus on his job. Meanwhile, Kumiko examined the Ruler of Perseverance title she had earned and reviewed the various skills she could unlock. One of the options intrigued her, the Evil Eye abilities, each possessing powerful effects like causing paralysis or inflicting permanent burns. Unable to decide on just one, her alter ego reminded her that she had 8 eyes, suggesting she could use multiple Evil Eye abilities at once. Impressed by this insight, Kumiko chose the cursed Evil Eye for now, and planned to unlock the others later. To test her new ability, she found an evil frog, and cast her Evil Eye upon it. In mere moments, the frog's hit points were completely drained, and Kumiko's appraisal skill finally reached level 10. However, before she could celebrate, interference disrupted her communication with her alter ego. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the world, Shun asked his teacher about the other 26 people who had reincarnated like him. The teacher explained that besides himself, there were 3 other reincarnates at their academy. Additionally, 11 were living in an elf village, and 2 others were hiding elsewhere. Unfortunately, 4 had already died, leaving only 3 others alive, though she couldn't contact them now. The teacher concluded her explanation as they were about to start a camping lesson. Shun, who was the hero's brother, found himself partnered with Hugo, another reincarnate. However, Hugo harbored a strong dislike for the other reincarnates. While Shun was gathering herbs for their group, Hugo nearly killed him with a fire spell. Curious about the whereabouts of their missing classmate, Shun inquired, and Hugo bluntly stated they wouldn't see him again, treating this world like a game where he aimed to become its ruler. Hugo believed this world was a dream come true due to his skills and abilities, seeing Shun as an outsider to his ambitions. Reflecting quietly on Hugo's demeanor, Shun realized Hugo had been planning something for a while. Hugo's Emperor skill, which boosted all his other abilities, posed the biggest threat. Hugo aggressively attacked Shun, questioning why Shun had been saving up his skill points. In their clash, Hugo's fiery sword strikes nearly overwhelmed Shun, who struggled to defend himself. Hugo declared his ambition to become king and eliminate anyone who opposed him, including the other reincarnates. He planned to use assassins to eliminate them and release a monster to blame for their deaths, positioning himself as the hero who would save the day and boost his reputation. Despite Shun's efforts, none of his attacks could harm Hugo, who pushed him against a tree with intensified flames. Just as Hugo seemed poised to defeat Shun, A sudden whirlwind knocked Hugo away, and the teacher intervened, criticizing Hugo for his extreme actions. She had already dealt with Hugo's allies and their monster. As Hugo tried to retaliate against the teacher, she used her wind attack to subdue him. With authority over him, the teacher forced Hugo to comply, causing all his stats to plummet and his skills to disappear instantly. Meanwhile, Kumoko had been leveling up her skills and had evolved her vision enhancement into telescopic vision.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Initially, she thought it sounded unimpressive, but when she tried it, it felt like having multiple fields of view. With the help of her second brain, this new vision made her even more powerful. After days of leveling up, her Zoa LA body had reached level 3. Her life skill had evolved into longevity. Curious, Kumoko asked her body brain if she could combine the evil eye with telescopic vision to use it from a distance. Additionally, her detection ability had finally reached level 10, but neither it nor her appraisal skill evolved. Disappointed, Kumoko hoped she would receive some sort of compensation, perhaps a super ruler of wisdom skill. As she voiced her frustration, she heard the interference noise again and a beep in her ear. The system responded, stating that Senior Administrator D had received her request and evolved all her skills into wisdom. Kumoko now had the title Ruler of Wisdom, and her taboo skill was at level 8. Reviewing her new skills, Kumoko realized that this situation was far from normal. Previously, she had been picking up skills as if it were a game, but this wasn't a game. Hearing the name Senior Administrator D, she understood that someone had created a skill for her because she complained. It was as if a god controlled this world, and one of these administrators was playing with her like a game character. This realization made her question whether she was truly alive. Meanwhile, Hugo, overwhelmed with anger after losing all his abilities, heard a woman's voice offering help. She explained that since they were both reincarnates, she wouldn't mind assisting him. Desperate for revenge, Hugo agreed without hesitation, not caring who the woman was as long as she could help him. Meanwhile, Kumiko had better priorities as she was going full Kurt Cobain on the other side of the world because she's decided to live fast and die young, saying that she was going to set her soul ablaze. That didn't age well because she was on fire, literally. Kumoko realized she wasn't him after all, so she ran around looking for water. When she realized she couldn't get any, she begged for some poison to stop the burning. Her HP continued dropping all the way until it reached 0. Kumoko's perseverance ability kicked in, draining all her MP. Her body brain remarked that this struggle wasn't worth it, and Kumoko felt like giving up. Despite this, she tried to stay positive, focusing on her new wisdom skill and the powerful abilities she'd unlocked. To test her strength, she attempted to open Hell's Gate and summon magical sigils. However, she struggled to maintain them, and they eventually collapsed, exploding in her face. Controlling magic during a battle was proving difficult. Her body brain warned her that using magic would be overwhelming given the influx of new wisdom skills information. As they argued over the magical hat, the system announced that proficiency had been reached, and the hat flew out of their hands. Another version of Kumoko caught it and took over the magic control, saying she'd handle it. Kumoko's parallel mind skill had now reached level 3, giving her 3 spider brains to work with. While exploring, Kumoko wondered if these new skills were just a sign of her split personality disorder worsening. However, before she could dwell on it, lava surged down the ravine, and she found herself in a secluded area of the middle stratum. Surrounded by corpses, she wondered what had happened. As she investigated the lava, a giant dragon emerged from it. The dragon's stats were so high that they didn't all fit on the screen, though its hit points were already cut in half like Fruit Ninja. The dragon tried to crush Kumoko, but she narrowly avoided its attacks. It then launched a barrage of fireballs, which she barely dodged with her speed. Despite the dragon being twice as strong, Kumoko was determined to fight it head-on, using the power of her 3 minds. She activated all her evil eyes and summoned magic sigils to attack, but the dragon's breath nearly blew her away. In mid-air, she launched all her magical abilities at the dragon, but they barely scratched it. When she landed, the dragon's tail scratched one of her legs, draining all her HP. Kumiko realized that even with her evasion, thought acceleration, and foresight, she was barely surviving. Her evil eye had no effect, but as she dodged around, she noticed the dragon's low hit points. She saw a chance to win, and, while escaping its relentless attacks, tried to think of a way to counter its overwhelming speed. However, even the dragon's poison resistance was increasing as they fought. The dragon prepared a fire blast aimed at Kumiko, but she saw an opening and used her poison synthesis to shield herself from the flames. The dragon then launched a barrage of fireballs, and Kumiko barely managed to cut her thread and dodge them, though she ended up free-falling directly toward its mouth. As the dragon flew up to swallow her, Kumiko remained calm, knowing this was part of her plan. She activated her thought acceleration to slow down time. With no fire blocking her, Kumiko unleashed her Ultra Mega Gigamax spider venom and asked her magic brain to enhance it with additional poison abilities. The Parallel Minds skill leveled up to level 4, and a new personality joined. But the other minds weren't willing to be part of the Inside Out movie, so they shut her up. At the last moment, Kumiko released her poison sphere, but the dragon countered with fire breath, burning her threads before the poison could land. The dragon's HP was halved again, but it recovered quickly. Now, with no ground to stand on and completely vulnerable, Kumiko faced off against the dragon once more. After launching a fire breath attack directly at Kumiko, the dragon searched for her, only to be surprised by a giant poison sphere forming above. Kumiko sent it crashing down onto the dragon and began slashing with her rod attack. The dragon's body started sinking, and as Kumiko continued her assault, she noticed it fading away. However, her powerful attack backfired, ripping off her own arm in the process. In a clever move, Kumiko used her phantasm ability to create an illusion, making the dragon think it had killed her. Hidden in the cave's ceiling, she prepared her next move, determined to stand her ground since her home had been destroyed. The lava illuminated her face, signaling the battle wasn't over. Struggling with her perseverance skill, Kumiko and her second magic brain readied their next attack. They invoked Abyss Level 1 magic, summoning doors from the ground that absorbed all the lava around them. Despite the devastating attack, the dragon somehow survived, its stats almost depleted. As the decisive moment approached, Kumiko leaped at the dragon, covering it with her webs. She leveled up rapidly, reaching level 19 and earning the title Dragon Slayer. Yet her victory was cut short when the lava began flowing back towards her. She attempted to drag the dragon away to consume it, but news of the dragon's demise reached a mysterious man. Using administrator privileges, the man investigated the scene. Meanwhile, Kumiko unlocked the triple evil eye skill, enhancing her ability to slow, curse, and paralyze her enemies. She felt her power growing ominously. Despite her new skills, Kumiko struggled to penetrate the dragon's tough scales. Suddenly, a mysterious noise filled her mind. Activating thought acceleration, time slowed, allowing her to strategize. A portal appeared, and a demonic man emerged. Unable to understand him, Kumiko gestured helplessly until the man dropped a smartphone. Administrator D appeared on the screen, communicating with the man in a bizarre language. After their conversation, the man departed through the portal. Introducing herself as D, the administrator explained she observed Kumiko's struggles with interest, admitting to being the malevolent god of this world. She assured Kumiko that if she persevered, she would eventually find the answers she sought. With that, the phone vanished, leaving Kumiko pondering in the Demon Lord's castle. After the conference with the leaders, where the Demon Lord asserted her authority with deadly control over dissenters, everyone dispersed. In the privacy of her room, the Demon Lord encountered a mysterious white girl, signaling that it was time for the hero, the current one, to depart this world. Meanwhile, 7,000 miles away, Shun suddenly acquired the hero title. The world around him began to fade, indicating a profound shift. The only way Shun could inherit such a title was if his older brother, the current hero, had tragically passed away. The weight of this realization crushed Shun. The loss of his beloved brother engulfed him in agony, and he screamed in despair. Meanwhile, Kumiko continued to ponder the identity of D, suspecting she might be Japanese due to her fluency in the language. Choosing not to dwell on it, Kumiko focused on her journey through the middle stratum, finally uncovering the path leading to the upper stratum. Determined, she began making her way towards it. On the human front, the war had intensified, resulting in significant losses for the human forces. Despite securing a victory, one of the generals acknowledged the limitations of human power. He then broached the topic of the nightmare of the labyrinths, recalling an incident 15 years ago when his group traversed the labyrinth's depths. During their exploration, they encountered a phenomenon where monsters native to the labyrinth were escaping. Many adventurers suspected an S-ranked spider as the culprit. As they proceeded deeper, they encountered intricate threads obstructing their path. Their leader used considerable firepower to burn through the threads, speculating that the spider must have abandoned its intricate nest. The spider loomed over them from above, instilling instant fear in their leader. Without even attacking, it manifested hundreds of skills and leaped down to cut off their escape route. The party leader appraised the spider, discovering it was a level 19 Zoa LA. Among its many skills was Height of Occultism, marking it as one of the most formidable creatures he had ever encountered. Before he could finish his appraisal, the spider's eyes glowed, causing all soldiers to collapse. The leader sensed an unparalleled wisdom emanating from the spider, overwhelming him. His subordinates snapped him out of his daze, urging retreat. In desperation, a young soldier summoned legendary beasts to attack the spider, but their assaults left no mark. The spider retaliated with its evil eyes, obliterating the beasts effortlessly. The soldier's fish suffocated in its own water, and his rock turtle inexplicably lost its HP. The remaining soldiers fell one by one, leaving only their leaders inside the teleportation circle. The spider aimed an attack at one of them, but a young man intercepted the blow, sacrificing himself before teleporting away. This moment underscored to the man the frailty of humans, yet he held on to hope that they would reunite someday. Amidst the chaos of monsters in the war, they spotted a Queen Taratect, and the Demon Lord opened her eyes. Before battling the dragons, Kumiko decided to clear the future battlefield against Araba. The hornets in the area would block her aerial movements, and after witnessing the previous battle between Araba and the snake, she knew that staying on the ground would be fatal. The only way to have a fighting chance was by exterminating the hornets, but they kept biting into her undetected. Even though the hornets were only level 1, their bites continued to bother Kumiko. With a fiery determination, she leaped into the sky and used her threads like a whip, casting area of effect magic to deal with them. As her magic levels increased, Kumiko continued casting her abilities, slowly eliminating every single hornet. This was one of the powers unlocked from the Height of Occultism skill, and when combined with heretic magic, it would allow her to deal massive damage to Araba. The hornets continued raining down until one of their generals appeared. She launched her bullets toward the hornets, causing all of her opponents to fall and their nest to collapse. This allowed her to level up once more. With the hornets out of the way, Kumiko focused on her final preparations for the battle against Araba. Kumiko launched her bullets at Araba, but none hit their mark. She tried to lure him into an aerial battle, but he kept up with her speed. She unleashed an all-out magical assault, filling the sky with sigils that rained magical bullets down on him. While some bullets landed, his HP regenerated the damage instantly, leading to a stalemate. Araba positioned himself and launched his dragon breath at her, but Kumiko faked him out and fired bullets from above and beneath his jaw, crushing him momentarily. As he collapsed, his tail almost whipped her out of existence. He quickly regained his footing and cast magic. Kumiko retaliated with her own mirage, but Araba, while temporarily blinded, launched an attack she narrowly avoided. Her threads carried her away from his blasts, but they also set up more advanced earth magic traps. She was barely surviving, especially since her magic eyes had no effect on him. Araba continued launching breath attacks and flashing towards her, but she narrowly dodged his countless slashes. Even though he was directly in front of her, he didn't advance because he had caught on to her deadly web. With some distance between them, Kumiko cast her poison synthesis towards Araba. He dodged the huge waterfall of poison, but while he was pinned to the wall, she launched a torrential poison downpour, momentarily trapping him.
Damn!
Araba destroyed her webs with his dragon breath, and Kumiko retaliated by launching her white balls towards him. However, Araba evaded every single one and broke through her defenses, his mouth wide open, ready to devour her. This was exactly what Kumiko hoped for. His bite trapped him inside her webs, and as he struggled to escape, she covered him further in her net. With Araba immobilized, Kumiko prepared one of her strongest spells. Kumiko's determination paid off as she finally reached the exit of the labyrinth, her battered body and spirit still intact. The endless battles had honed her skills and made her stronger, but the psychological toll was immense. She couldn't help but reflect on the bizarre sense of satisfaction she felt from Araba's surrender, even as it clashed with her own unyielding will to survive. With this, she was finally about to leave that miserable cave to a world of sunshine and rainbows. She finally leaped out of the Minecraft cave only to find a giant spider waiting for her. When Kumiko finally got outside, she saw tall walls surrounding her. Frustrated, she screamed, but soldiers started throwing spears at her, knocking her back. After recovering, she saw several soldiers ready to attack her. Deciding to fight back, she caused explosions that made the walls start to crumble. She jumped away and soon spotted a town in the distance. Thinking about getting some food, she realized she was still an ugly spider and people would chase her away. She dropped to the ground and checked the system for a skill that would protect her in the town. She found a skill called Arak, which would let her evolve into a human. She hurried to get the skill but fell on her belly because she was hungry and hadn't eaten all day. Suddenly her head hurt as her mother demanded she return to the caves. She thought about going back but then found the heresy nullification skill, which cancelled her mother's control. Confident after defeating Araba, she believed she could handle any enemy. Meanwhile, soldiers were carrying rubble when they saw an army of spiders rushing towards them, making them run away. Kumiko saw an alarm system alerting her to the approaching spider army. Checking their stats, she realized they were as powerful as Araba, and the lead spider was an arch-terror dragon. Determined to fight, Kumiko walked out to meet them and told them she had been expecting them, hoping to lure them into her trap. But the lead spider cut her threads, and as the threads began to break, a tree started falling towards her. Luckily, she flew away as more trees began falling down. As the spiders fell into her trap, Kumiko unleashed a barrage of black bullets, tearing up the ground ahead of her. She thought she had won, but the spiders said not this time, Spidey, and emerged from the dust unharmed. They countered with their webs, aiming to catch her, but Kumiko agilely dodged their attacks. Realizing they all had thread control skills, Kumiko knew defeating them would be tough. She dodged more webs and tried to flee, but one of her legs got caught. She broke free from one web just as another was launched at her. Dodging another series of attacks, she ran off again. The arch-terror dragon tried to bite her, but she managed to escape by flying onto a tree. When they pursued her in the air, she trapped them in her webs, using her human knowledge to set up the trap despite their size and strength. Jumping onto the arch-terror dragon, Kumiko used her teleportation magic to send them both into a volcano, descending towards the lava. At the last moment, the spider created a platform, saving himself. Trying to shake her off, the platform began cracking under the strain. Determined to defeat him, Kumiko leaped to a new platform and unleashed another rain of black bullets. However, the spider started healing himself, his HP increasing as more platforms formed under his feet. Despite her relentless attacks, Kumiko realized she might not be able to finish him off. Switching tactics, she hurled black spears at him, destroying the platforms beneath him. He fell into the lava, causing his HP to drop. Refusing to let such a good meal go to waste, Kumiko pulled him out of the lava. As Kumiko began eating the arch-terror dragon, the system notified her that she had gained enough experience to level up twice. While vomiting from the ordeal, she teleported to the remaining spiders, sending them into the volcano with another spell before pulling them out as additional meals. Suddenly, a signal from her mother flashed in her mind, reminding her that her mother was still trying to bring her back to the caves. Determined to stop this, Kumiko devised a plan and entered her spider realm. She ordered her replicas to eliminate their mother to end her summoning attempts. She instructed them to enter the portal before them and launch a mental attack. When Magic Brain asked for details on the attack, Kumiko admitted she didn't have a specific plan, but encouraged them to try anything. The replicas entered the portal and began attacking their mother, devouring her like relentless little creatures. Meanwhile, Kumiko continued wandering, relieved to be free from her mother's problems, and probably chores too. As Kumiko stumbled upon a group of bandits attacking travelers, she debated whether to stand on business or mind her business. Upon discovering a baby in the carriage, she swiftly incapacitated one bandit with her webs and dispatched the others with lethal efficiency. One bandit attempted to flee but was immobilized and drained of life by her web-bound attack. With the bandits defeated, Kumiko briefly wished she could introduce herself as a knight to the survivors, but knowing she couldn't, she instead used her healing ability to assist one of the travelers. As she prepared to leave, another traveler emerged with the baby, whom Kumiko appraised to discover was a level 1 human vampire. Feeling a pang of jealousy realizing the baby had reincarnated like her, Kumiko rolled on the ground briefly before hurrying away. Deep in the forest, her alarm system alerted her to a group of elves scheming to steal the baby away. As Kumiko watched the carriage leave, she realized she was fortunate. Meanwhile, in the castle, Shun and Su visited their father after being summoned. Suddenly, Su gave the king a 360 no-scope. In shock, Shun saw Su screaming and blaming him as knights rushed in. When they tried to arrest Shun, he fought back and disarmed a knight. Hugo then revealed himself, admitting he was behind the attack and that his brother Silas wanted to be king. Su, under a charm spell, threatened Shun. Hugo laughed, prompting Shun to punch him. Hugo cast a shield, but Sophia shattered it with her magic. Shun tried to appraise Sophia but found her stats blocked. Hugo attempted to attack Shun, but Oka blew him away with wind magic. Sophia remained unharmed, and as Oka created a diversion, she and Shun fled. Oka unleashed wind magic on the knights. Despite Shun's reluctance to leave, Hirance and Anna convinced him that the castle was unsafe. With Oka clearing the way, they made their escape. As they reached outside, Shun and his group encountered an army of knights aiming to trap them in the castle. Suddenly, arrows flew, and another army charged, providing a distraction for their escape. Later that night in the forest, Shun suggested sending Hugo to Jesus, but Oka warned that Sophia was an even greater threat and that they should eliminate both. Just then, enemies surrounded and attacked them. Among the enemies, Shun saw Keisha under Hugo's spell. She unleashed flames at him, but he blocked them. When she tried again, Shun rushed through the flames, pointing his sword at her, but couldn't bring himself to kill her. Keisha shot more flames, and Shun shoved her to the ground. She kicked him away and pointed her sword at him. As she started regaining her senses, fear of losing control made her put herself to sleep. Horrified, Shun tried to heal her with his magic. When she wouldn't wake up, his desperate scream emitted a magical light that finally revived her. As Oka blew some soldiers away, Sophia remained unaffected and countered with her own powerful wind, engaging Oka in a struggle before capturing her. Shun tried to help, but a soldier cut his knee. When he attempted to heal himself, he realized he was out of healing magic. Fortunately, Faye appeared in the sky, casting a light that destroyed the remaining enemies and freed Oka from Sophia's grip. As the group hurried to Shun, Sophia charged at them. Faye unleashed a powerful flame at her, then flew away. He soon returned, allowing Shun to rescue his homie. While inside the mother spider, Kumiko's replicas continued their work. Magic Brain wondered why the mother wasn't fighting back, while others speculated she was too busy with her many offspring. However, Magic Brain suspected that their mother knew they were different and was planning to destroy Kumiko immediately. Suddenly, The mother spider screamed at her remaining offspring and blasted a hole in the ceiling. When Kumoko's replicas tried to leave and warn her, they found themselves trapped. Their mother was determined to end Kumoko and began hurrying out of the cave. At the same time, Kumoko wandered through the woods, thinking about what to eat. She considered catching a boar or a deer and then eating some fruits. While musing over her options, she came across a fruit. As she began eating it, a leg impaled the ground in front of her, and she realized her mother had emerged from the caves to end her. Checking her mother's stats, Kumoko saw she was a level 89 Queen Taratect, 5 times stronger than a rabbit. Realizing the fight was hopeless, Kumoko started running, but her mother pursued her, destroying trees in her path. Wondering how her mother found her, she saw purple flames launched at her. Kumoko tried teleporting, but the monster kept unleashing flames. As she flew higher, she saw the destruction below and knew she would be sent to Spider Jesus if spotted. After narrowly dodging an attack, Kumoko kept running and dodging more attacks, trying to use instant transmission again. Her mother tried to impale her, but as Kumoko dodged, her mother launched another flame straight at her. Just before being pulverized, Kumoko teleported into the caves, narrowly escaping doom. While resting, Kumoko discovered her legs were burned off. Deciding to hide until healed, a Taratect destroyed her web, revealing millions of spiders waiting to attack her. Realizing her mother had anticipated her teleporting to her old home and had ordered her siblings to wait, Kumoko knew she was in deep trouble. As webs were cast at her, she dodged, but a spider caught her and injected venom. She launched a spear at it through a magical circle and started climbing up the wall. Checking her stats, she discovered her perseverance skill was the only thing keeping her alive. As her siblings attacked, she escaped using her webs, realizing she could only defeat them in the middle stratum. However, they wouldn't allow her to reach it, so she cast a poison mist and used the distraction to hurry away. Despite this, they continued chasing her, attacking again as they were much faster. As Kumoko tried to create distance, she neared the middle stratum only to encounter a puppet slashing at her arms. Dodging its attacks, she realized it was controlled by a spider inside, a secret weapon of her mother's. Caught between the puppet and her siblings' webs, Kumoko weighed her options. Webs launched towards her, but she evaded them and unleashed her black bullets, blocked by the puppet. Using her Jinx Evil Eye, she absorbed the puppet's MP, but needed to heal from the attack of a rushing Taratect. Unable to sustain both skills, she cast smoke and flew upwards. The puppet reappeared, and more webs from the spiders nearly trapped her, but she narrowly escaped. The spiders retaliated with webs, and Kumoko responded with more black bullets. Realizing escape to the middle stratum was impossible, she tried to level up, only to be caught in webs and attacked by spiders boring into her flesh, almost turning her into stone. Fortunately, her heresy magic created a phantasm, tricking the spiders. She unleashed black spears and tried to sneak up on them but got trapped in a web set by the puppet. As she struggled to free her leg, a Taratect fell on her, but she blasted it with her evil eye. It fell on her again, and she used her annihilating evil eye to vanquish it. Jumping on another spider, she feasted on it with no seasoning. The puppet tried attacking Kumoko, but she vanished along with the spider, reappearing inside a volcano. She was relieved that her plan had worked. After pulling the pterodact out from the lava, she wondered why the puppet didn't appear in her evolution tree. Despite this, she remained determined to defeat her mother. After checking her stats, she decided it was time to level up like Mario. After the evolution was complete, Kumoko received a message from the system announcing that all her core stats had increased significantly. This was a momentous event for her. She felt a surge of power coursing through her, making her stronger and more formidable than ever before. Her agility, strength, and magical abilities had all been enhanced, making her a force to be reckoned with. As she absorbed this information, the system delivered more incredible news. She had gained the skill of immortality. This wasn't just any skill, it was the ultimate cheat code that every Minecraft monster and GTA player could ever wish for. With immortality, she was now capable of living forever, which meant she could continue to grow stronger indefinitely, and she could live to see GTA 7. This realization hit her like a bolt of lightning, although not as fast as Lightning McQueen. She was quickly becoming the most powerful monster in the world. The thought of immortality filled Kumiko with a mix of excitement and relief. No longer did she have to fear death, or being squashed like a bug she was by more powerful enemies. This newfound immortality gave her the confidence she needed to face her mother without hesitation. Her mother, the formidable Queen Taratect, had always been a terrifying opponent, with the aura of a final boss in a video game, but now, Kumiko felt a shift in the balance of power. She was no longer the hunted, she was the hunter. The system displayed a new message. Kumiko had gained the champion skill, which allowed her to make any monster she encountered feel the fear of heresy. This meant she could easily scare away monsters without needing to fight them, basically fighting with nothing but Chad aura. This newfound power filled her with confidence. She wouldn't have to waste energy on unnecessary battles anymore. As Kumiko marveled at her new ability, she began to wonder how she was acquiring these incredible skills. Just then, the goddess of this world called her on a phone. The goddess tried to explain everything, but Kumiko ignored the call. It wasn't until the goddess threatened to turn her into a pancake that Kumiko quickly answered because spider-flavored pancakes deserve to be frowned upon. Meanwhile, Kumiko was enjoying a swim in the ocean. She was delighted that she could now swim, unlike in her previous life. After a few minutes of swimming, she decided it was time to get breakfast through fishy methods. As she thought about her mother, Kumiko decided it might be best to let her replicas wear her down. She began thinning their numbers, focusing on her strategy. Suddenly, while fishing, she felt a tug on her line. Expecting to reel in a tuna, she instead found out that she hit the motherlode, a freaking dragon. Remembering her victories against other dragons, Kumiko felt confident she could defeat this one. When the dragon breathed a torrent of flames at her, she swiftly swung on her web like Bully Maguire and countered with a powerful black spear. The dragon faltered and was soon defeated. With the immediate threat handled, Kumiko teleported back into the caves, ready to confront the puppet. However, the puppet wasted no time and immediately attacked her with its slashing blades. Kumiko deftly dodged the strikes and attempted to immobilize it by wrapping it in her webs, but the puppet cut through them effortlessly. Summoning a powerful torrent of water, Kumiko swam swiftly towards the ocean's surface. Emerging from the water, she found the puppet unconscious on the cave floor and decided to return to fishing. However, her plans were interrupted when Magic Brain warned her of a formidable enemy approaching. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the land, and a new adversary emerged from the dust. Kumiko attempted to appraise the enemy, but her appraisal was blocked. Using her knowledge skill, she identified the enemy as an ancient divine beast and demon lord, an origin Taratect, at level 139. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Kumiko attempted to flee, but she was struck by a powerful blast unleashed by the demon lord, sending her flying apart like a Lego. Shun and his companions navigated through the labyrinth, encountering and effortlessly defeating its various monsters. Following a suggestion from Basgoth, they decided to take a break from their journey. Later, Shun was startled awake by a nightmare. In his dream, he saw a mysterious silver-haired woman with blue wings on her head. She spoke cryptically about him leveling up and then abruptly mentioned being in pain. This unsettling dream left Shun deeply disturbed. Upon hearing about Shun's unsettling dream, Basgoth grew concerned. He explained that such dreams were often a prelude to the appearance of a fearsome spider monster known as the Nightmare of the Labyrinth. Despite rumors of its demise, Basgoth remained skeptical. Legends suggested that the nightmare would not attack unless provoked and would sometimes even aid the injured. Awakening the rest of the group, Basgoth led them deeper into the labyrinth. After some time, they encountered a formidable purple earth dragon. Despite their combined efforts, both physical and magical attacks seemed ineffective against its tough defenses. However, one of the girls among them bravely charged at the dragon. Surprisingly, her skin and punches proved as resilient as a dragon's, even in her human form. Her daring distraction allowed the others to focus their magic, gradually weakening the dragon's defenses. In the decisive moment, Shun unleashed a powerful holy light beam, dealing the final blow to the dragon. The creature fell defeated, and as a result of this victory, Shun reached level 29. The entire group earned the prestigious title of Dragon Slayer for their heroic feat in overcoming such a formidable foe. Basgath and the group encountered remnants of Nightmare, spider creatures Basgath recognized. They warned of an impending apocalypse, claiming nothing could stop it. Discovering a hole in the labyrinth ceiling made by the spider mother years ago, Mireille transformed into a dragon and flew the group to the surface. Meanwhile, Kumiko survived a demonic attack due to her newly acquired immortality skill. However, she awaited the regeneration of her body parts, uncertain of how long it would take. When a shark leaped at her, she swiftly defeated it with dark magic. Despite still possessing her abilities, Kumiko refrained from using healing magic to conserve her MP. She anticipated hours for full recovery and feared the Demon Lord's possible return. She suspected her mother orchestrated the attack, doubting her immortality skill would protect her next time. Contemplating a new survival strategy, Kumiko faced Ariel in the Spider Queen's mind. Ariel encountered Coco's parallel mind and realized she must completely eliminate Kumiko to sever their connection. After a few days of regenerating in the still and tranquil waters, also the Fiji waters, Kumiko emerged with renewed vigor, promptly catching and devouring a fish for sustenance and Minecraft XP. Satisfied, she ascended a tall tree, using her clairvoyance skill to survey the surrounding area, hoping to pinpoint her location. Through her heightened spidey senses, or just senses since she was already a spider, Kumiko spotted a distant town bustling with life, like when you spot a village in Minecraft. Her attention was drawn to a passing carriage. It was the very same travelers she had rescued not long ago. Yet her elation was short-lived, as she noticed elves lurking in the bushes nearby. Their intentions clear. They still wanted to steal the baby she had previously protected. At the traveler's home, chaos ensued as the elves crashed the party, ruthlessly taking out a guard in their quest to hit the road with the infant. However, your friendly neighborhood spider-knot man swiftly intervened, unleashing her jinxed evil eye to obliterate the intruders before they could reach their prize. One elf, marked by her evil eye, managed to escape, making Kumiko track him back to his village. Observing the elves' persistent attempts to steal the baby, Kumiko couldn't understand their relentless pursuit. The following day, she observed a solemn gathering of elves worshipping their goddess. Sensing a threat, Kumiko employed her evil eye once again, swiftly neutralizing the worshippers who posed a danger to the town. In the days that followed, Kumiko systematically eliminated the bandits plaguing the town, earning the gratitude and reverence of its people. Despite the Lord's disapproval of her bug-like appearance, the townsfolk revered her as a divine savior sent by their goddess. One day, a weary woman from the town approached Kumiko, desperation clearly on her face as she pleaded for help to heal her gravely ill son. Descending from her temporary natural habitat, Kumiko examined the boy's condition with her keen insight, diagnosing him with liver cancer. Concerned by the malnourished state of the woman, Kumiko used her potent healing magic to restore them both to health. Grateful tears showed in the woman's eyes as she offered Kumiko a humble gift, an apple as a token of appreciation for saving her son's life. Typical Snow White lore. In that moment, Kumiko reflected on her evolving role in this world, where her extraordinary abilities and compassionate actions continued to shape the lives of those around her. By the next week, the whole town had started worshipping Kumiko, calling her the Divine Beast, and making toys of her for everyone to buy. When Kumiko tried to tell them she wasn't actually the Divine Beast, they only heard her yelling and thought she wanted to do Spider number 2. Meanwhile, Shun and his friends reached a teleportation circle that would take them to the elves' village. Since the village was protected by a magical barrier, Oka explained that using the teleportation circle was their only way in. They disappeared into the circle and reappeared in the village, where they were immediately confronted by a group of elves. Oka stepped forward, introducing everyone as her friends and explaining they had come to help fight against Hugo's army. However, one of the elves demanded they leave immediately, not trusting humans. Just then, Potamus unexpectedly appeared behind him, urging the group to stay. They were all surprised to see him alive, as they had witnessed Sophia supposedly kill him in battle. Inside the village, Potamus revealed that Hugo was marching with 80,000 soldiers toward their village. He explained that all the cities believed Hugo was a hero and didn't realize Shun's true role. That night, Shun began to suspect that the elves might be trying to trick them, wondering if Oka had secretly rattan on them, informing Potamus about their arrival. Kumoko realized she was about to be trapped before teleporting, so she cut through the webs and fell towards the ground. But before she could escape, her mother attacked and tried to devour her again. Determined to survive, Kumoko struggled and managed to break free. Just then, Magic Brain returned and infused Kumoko with new abilities they had gained from devouring their mother's astral flow. Empowered by these newfound abilities, Kumoko unleashed a barrage of attacks on her mother. In a flash, she was restored and all her stats increased. With a fierce determination to end her mother's threat, Kumoko unleashed a powerful flame that obliterated her mother instantly. After the battle, Magic Brain informed Kumoko that the last of her replicas had entered the Demon Lord through a portal they found in their mother's mind. They saw it as a perfect opportunity to attack the demon. However, this revelation made Kumoko realize that the Demon Lord was now returning to the caves to eliminate her. In response, Kumoko swiftly vanished to avoid the impending danger. In the town, while Kumoko was eating, a group from a neighboring kingdom approached her and accused her of destroying their fortress a few weeks earlier. It was the same castle she had inadvertently entered after emerging from the labyrinth, where she had swiftly defeated attacking soldiers. When the townspeople tried to intervene, the kingdom's representatives threatened to declare war unless Kumoko complied with their demands. However, Kumoko vanished and retreated towards the safety of the trees with her gathered fruits. From a distance, Kumoko observed that the leader of the group was a guest at the Lord's residence. Concerned about leaving the nearby settlement and risking the baby's safety again, Kumoko decided to stay nearby to ensure their protection. To further ensure her own safety, she also kept watch over the Demon Lord, discovering her engaged in a battle with a formidable monster within the labyrinth. Relieved that the Demon Lord was occupied, Kumoko attempted to rest. Her chill without Netflix was interrupted when a man emerged from a portal, a familiar face named Guladistodes. Guladistodes identified himself as an administrator of their world and implored Kumoko to cease her attacks on the Demon Lord. Kumoko found herself puzzled by Guladistodes' insistence that she cease her attacks, especially since it was the Demon Lord who posed a threat to her. It dawned on her that Guladistodes was referring to her replica within the Demon Lord, but she explained that she had lost contact with it after defeating her mother. Despite Guladistodes' request for her to leave the town due to her overwhelming power, Kumoko resolved to stay, citing her newly acquired taboo skill, which had revealed a plot by elves to destroy their world. This revelation made Guladistodes reconsider his demand, realizing he couldn't force Kumoko to depart. As Guladistodes disappeared through the portal, Kumoko returned to her bed. Suddenly, she was alerted by the system and narrowly avoided knives aimed at her, a reminder of the dangers she faced. After deflecting more knives aimed at her, Kumoko used her evil eye to eliminate the men attacking her. However, when she tried to absorb their experience points, she realized they were from the neighboring kingdom that accused her earlier, prompting her desire for revenge. Meanwhile, in the Lord's residence, the leader suddenly collapsed and died after drinking grape juice, a victim of Kumoko's evil eye. When the Lord discovered the leader's body, he immediately suspected Kumoko's involvement and feared it would spark a war between kingdoms. Knowing other kingdoms were eager for conflict, he anticipated they would exploit any pretext. Just then, a messenger burst in with news that armies from neighboring kingdoms were marching towards their town, intent on annihilating them. Meanwhile, Kumoko spotted the approaching armies and felt responsible for triggering the war. Determined to defend the town, she prepared for battle. In another part of the world, Oka pondered whether the students blamed her for their confinement in the settlement. Upon awakening in this new world as a baby, she was surprised to find herself surrounded by people with long pointed ears, elves. Drawing on her memories from her previous life, where she aspired to be a teacher, Oka recognized these beings as elves. Before the cataclysm that brought her here, she had immersed herself in contemporary culture to better understand her students. Despite the tragedy, she clung to her memories and resolved to care for these children as if she were still their teacher. Fortuitously, she possessed the skill to identify and connect with her former students, understanding their pasts, presents, futures, and tragic fates. Using her telepathic abilities and enlisting Potamus's aid, she negotiated with the elves to save the reincarnated students. Some were bought from their families, while others were rescued and hidden within the elves' village, altering their destinies for the better. However, her skill prevented her from foreseeing her own future or revealing the students' fates to anyone, causing them to distrust her motives. They began to resent her, believing she was trying to trap them within the village despite her efforts to protect them. The next day, Shun and his friends examined the magical barrier surrounding the elves' village, learning it stretched for miles into the sky and underground, seemingly impenetrable. The elves confidently claimed no physical force could breach its defenses. Curious about its resilience, Kuniako, one of the students, tested it by summoning a powerful lightning strike with his sword, but the barrier remained undamaged. This left them wondering how Hugo planned to conquer the village if conventional attacks were futile. Later that evening, as the group returned to their settlement, Oka approached them and requested a private conversation. Once the remaining elves had departed, she confessed to being reincarnated from a different world. She revealed that all of them had memories from their previous lives and were born with extraordinary abilities, and the ability to acquire more power through skill points. Oka admitted she had kept this secret from many, fearing they might see her as an enemy. Reincarnates, who was not one of the reincarnated students, questioned how they came to this world. Oka explained they were summoned by administrators, who were revered as gods seeking to control and harness the lives and powers of those who reincarnated. Furthermore, Oka believed these administrators had granted Hugo the authority to unite the kingdoms and mobilize them against the elves' village. Since they couldn't fight directly, they manipulated Hugo into doing their bidding without his knowledge. That evening, the group decided to defend the teleportation circle, the only entry point for enemy forces into the village. They worried if other reincarnated students had sided with Hugo. Reincarnates proposed a strategy of supporting the elves and retreating if they started losing, but Shun insisted on fighting to the end. The next day, while preparing for battle, they heard commotion from the teleportation room. Rushing inside, they found an intruder dodging elf attacks. Recognizing him as another reincarnated student, they questioned why he sneaked into the village. He claimed he got lost. Shun checked his stats and realized he was a ninja, likely allied with Hugo against them. When the intruder vanished, Shun pursued, but clones appeared, evading their attacks. Oka engaged a clone, allowing the boys to approach, but the intruder escaped to the teleportation circle. As Shun closed in, the intruder threw an exploding sword. Shun attempted to catch it, but Reincarnates pulled him back just in time, and they narrowly escaped the blast. After the teleportation house exploded, trapping them in the village, Hugo seized the opportunity to attack. The barrier dissolved, exposing the village, and he ordered his army to assault everyone. The group clashed with the elves as Hugo charged at Oka. She countered with a wind blast, but Sophia nullified it. Hugo insisted on a one-on-one fight and asked Sophia to step aside. He broke through Oka's defenses and launched a slash, which she managed to neutralize. Hugo continued his relentless assault, dodging arrows and pressing his attacks. Catching an arrow mid-flight, he countered with a powerful strike that sent the elves into retreat, supported by Yuri's devastating magic. Hugo revealed he possessed the lust skill, allowing him to control anyone he touched. Evading Oka's arrows by turning invisible, he boasted of his greed skill, which let him absorb the abilities of those he defeated. He demonstrated this by draining an elf's powers right before Oka's eyes. As Yuri intervened with flames, Hugo slashed Oka, leaving her wounded. Yuri's attack left her incapacitated momentarily, but Oka managed to strike back with an arrow. Hugo, dodging her subsequent attacks, found himself trapped in a magical barrier that began choking him. Just as he was about to strike Oka down, Shun intervened, blocking Hugo's sword and saving Oka from certain doom. As Kumoko showed up in the battlefield MC style, she swiftly sent soldiers to their respawn point so she could absorb their EXP, leveling up in the process. Amid her celebration, a powerful blast shook the ground, heralding the arrival of the demon Ariel emerging from the dust. Moments earlier, Ariel had been locked in a fierce battle in the labyrinth against an ancient beast that unleashed mighty flames in retaliation. Despite Ariel's onslaught, the beast refused to yield, prompting her to intensify her attacks. Threatening imminent destruction, the beast countered with a blazing flame, which Ariel deftly neutralized with her own fire. Channeling a formidable aura, Ariel delivered a decisive blow, puncturing the beast with her powerful flame and sending it to Jesus. With the creature defeated, Ariel contemplated consuming its meat, but found the idea unsettling, questioning her own thoughts. Meanwhile, deep within Ariel's mind, Kumoko's replica continued its assimilation with the demon, influencing Ariel's thoughts and actions, even prompting her to consider consuming the creature's flesh once more. Gula Destotes suddenly appeared behind Ariel, revealing the existence of Kumoko's replica within her. He explained how the replica was merging their souls, gradually consuming Ariel's mind to form a unified entity. Ariel, after delving into Kumoko's memories and learning she was a reincarnated student, remained resolute on exacting retribution for Kumoko's role in her mother's demise. Guided by Guli Destotes' desire to witness Kumoko's downfall, Ariel was led through a portal to confront her nemesis directly. Arriving on the battlefield, Ariel wasted no time threatening Kumoko with annihilation. Kumoko, bewildered by how Ariel had discovered her location, found herself facing Ariel's fiery assault. Dodging narrowly, she encountered an invisible shield, a magical barrier blocking her path. Undeterred, Ariel continued her onslaught, unleashing flames that engulfed soldiers and terrain alike. Despite the inferno, Kumoko emerged untouched as the boss that she was, evading Ariel's physical attacks as the barrier prevented her from teleporting and nullified her magic. Dodging punches and kicks, Kumoko maneuvered around Ariel's assaults, destroying incoming projectiles and maintaining her defense and steeze. Recognizing Ariel's vulnerability to light magic, Kumoko retaliated with a potent blast of light. Although it initially appeared to damage Ariel's HP, her health swiftly regenerated. Hugo was relentless in his attacks, but Shun knocked him like he didn't matter, pointing his sword at him. Hugo tried to control Shun's mind with his glowing eyes, but Shun, now resistant to all magic thanks to his Dragon Slayer title, was unaffected. Shun commanded Hugo to surrender. In a desperate attempt, Hugo slashed at Shun, who easily dodged and disarmed him with another punch. Hugo claimed the world belonged to him, but Shun retorted that it belonged to everyone. As Hugo fell, Sophia called him an ignorant, useless loser, revealing he was merely a pawn in her plans. Just then, the commander of a demon army appeared, revealing their forces were advancing on the village, using Hugo's forces as a distraction. Shun decided to challenge Sophia to a battle. That's like a Yamcha versus Beerus situation. Seeing Yuri being taken away, he tried to intervene, but Sophia blocked him. She summoned a sword from the ground and teased him, calling him weak. Shun attacked again, but Sophia easily blocked and pushed him away, realizing Shun couldn't defeat her alone. The group decided to support Shun. Kuniako and another student took on the demon commander, clashing swords and unleashing blasts before chasing him off. Meanwhile, Oka fired arrows at Sophia, who caught and dodged them while blocking Herance's shield. Shun and Kaidia tried to attack, but Sophia slashed them away. She taunted them, saying they couldn't match her abilities and that she was sparing their lives on her master's orders. Oka launched more arrows, but Sophia blocked them effortlessly. Shun rushed at her again with relentless strikes, but she dodged and blocked everything. Oka continued firing arrows as Shun tried to take advantage of the distraction, but Sophia knocked him back. Demanding to know why they were being spared, Sophia explained that the administrators needed their powers. A mysterious circle spread around her, and as Shun rushed forward, Oka fired several arrows while Hirance threw his shield like the Captain America we have at home.
Hi, I'm Captain America.
Sophia blocked Shun's sword and kicked him back to the group, impressed with their combined attacks. Realizing magic and weapons had no effect, Faye descended and decided to surrender, knowing they couldn't win but waiting for the right moment to admit the truth. The students returned, having defeated the demon commander. Sophia commanded him to return to the battle, determined not to surrender. Shun decided to fight again, knowing it was their only chance to win the war. Suddenly, a new enemy flew down, kicking Kuniako to the ground and then away. The group realized he was the last reincarnated student after Kumiko and wondered why he was in the demon army. The boy, Kayuya, explained that the administrators demanded the elves' destruction, considering them a threat, and as a commander of another demon army, it was his duty to join the war. Raising his hand, an army of demons surrounded them. A portal opened before Shun, and elves appeared, informing him of the demon lord's invasion and that he was the only one who could stop her. Before they could teleport him, Kayuya impaled one of the elves, prompting the others to launch arrows. Sophia slashed them away, eliminating them with a dark mist. At the leader's command, the elves summoned robots from the portals, which marched towards Sophia. Sophia unleashed her dark mist at the robots, but they were unaffected and began firing at her and her allies. When the dust settled, the group realized they were protected by a magical pyramid. Sophia walked towards them, and the robots launched blasts, but she unleashed a powerful wave, sinking them into the ground. The elves tried to stop her with arrows, but Sophia's waves destroyed them instantly. Shun ran towards her, but Kayuya summoned a sword from a demon portal and blocked Shun's attack, kicking him away. Shun landed on his feet but lost a tooth. 15 missed calls from the Tooth Fairy. An army of elves charged at them, but Kayuya summoned a demon portal and launched arrows, eliminating them instantly. As Kadia and Faye attacked him, Kayuya blocked Shun's attack and called him the weakest hero in history. Yamcha must be motivated now. He pushed Shun off and tried slashing him, but Anna took the blow to save Shun. Shun healed her with his magic, and the system announced that his taboo skills had reached level 10. Anna woke up, and Shun began screaming in pain as his taboo activated, and Kadia's magic couldn't heal him. What a taboo that was. Hugo tried to sneak up on Sophia, but she spotted his shadow, blocked his sword, and kicked him back. As she picked him up to slay him, a light shone on his face, and her master appeared behind her. The group was shocked to see her, as she was Kumoko's future self. Meanwhile, Kumoko hatched from an egg in a nest full of spider eggs. She had used her egg-laying skill to implant a replica inside her own eggs, giving her a way to respawn. Minecraft should be taking notes. With her immortality skill and the ability to revive through her eggs, she was practically indestructible. She checked the system and discovered she had attained the evolution path, so she activated the evolution, gaining a humanoid form and increased stats. Kumiko fed her hatchlings leftover monsters before hurrying away. Using her clairvoyance, she saw the town burned and most soldiers gone. She also saw another group of elves sneaking into the traveler's home. Inside, the Lord asked if everyone had evacuated, but his security officer said many hadn't and suggested running away. The Lord decided to stay and asked the officer to hide his daughter, Sophia. As the officer ran off, he heard the couple scream from an attack. The officer drew his sword to fight the elves but protected the baby. Sophia bit him, turning him into a vampire with level 1 kin control. His wounds healed, and he charged at the elves, smashing one and ripping another. Patamas showed up and blasted the officer into a wall, convinced Sophia, though still a baby, was dangerous. The officer stood in their way, and Kumiko appeared, knocking Patamas into a wall. Using her evil eye, She eliminated the remaining elves and healed the officer. Potamus approached Kumoko, but when she tried using instant transmission, he cast an anti-magic barrier. He introduced himself and called her a threat, then began attacking her. Kumoko, now doubled in size, struggled to dodge his strikes. Using her thought acceleration skill, she dodged his attacks and punched him, but he was unfazed and continued attacking. Kumoko shoved him into a wall, but he emerged as a robot. Realizing the only way to save everyone was to destroy the robots, Kumoko tried using her evil eye, but it had no effect. She waited for the right moment to attack, but Ariel crashed inside, introducing herself in a creepy Kumoko style. Ariel demanded to know why Potamus was fighting Kumoko. Potamus insulted her, so she stepped on his head and promised to eliminate the real Potamus that were playing real-life Call of Duty somewhere. She then offered Kumoko a truce, as her abyss magic couldn't destroy her. They shook hands, deciding to work together. The real Potamus woke up in a lab full of clones and decided to eliminate Kumoko next time. The following day, Ariel asked Kumoko to join her army to eliminate the real Potamus. Ariel also invited Merizophis and Sophia to join them since they were vampires with nowhere to go. Merizophis was confused, but glad to protect Sophia, so he agreed. Kumoko, seeing a chance to save their world, decided to follow them and joined the other heroes to stand on business together. Thanks for watching this amazing video. If you enjoyed the story, hit the like button and subscribe for more adventures. Leave a comment with your thoughts and don't forget to click the bell so you never miss an update. See you next time.